Yeah, today, look, an extremely sad day to wake up this morning and hear the passing of Walter. Certainly, yeah, just felt horrible. And then you do start to, well, obviously thinking of Ethel, Neil and Stephen and the family, and then have flashbacks in terms of my time and my memories, Rob, with Walter, and I think one of the clear memories for me outside of the football side of things was that humane person that was there, that he didn't treat you necessarily always like a football player. He knew how to treat you as a normal person. And when I was a young lad, as a 17-year-old from the other side of the world, and probably a little bit homesick, probably feeling a little bit sorry for myself, he used to regularly invite me into his office, have a chat first and foremost to make sure that I was okay. And then he would clear the office, Rob, with Archie Knox and Billy Kirkwood and John McGregor, and he would demand that I get on the phone and speak to my mum and dad in Australia. And I just felt that was, just remarkable, and the type of person that Walter was. He was, um, in terms of the football side of things, he was hugely successful, but the way that he carried himself, the way that he led this period at the football club, it was an amazing thing to see, and I was very privileged to be a part of it. So hugely saddened by the news that we've heard today.
It speaks volumes for him, John Hartson, that he crossed the great divide, didn't he? The massive rivalry in Glasgow. But we heard a Celtic fan there on the news saying how he'd been affected by Walter's death, and he was admired and respected across the spectrum, wasn't he?
Yes, he was, and as soon as I read it this morning, straight away my thoughts were immediately with his wife Ethel and his close family and sons, and I can't claim that I knew him as well as Craig sitting next to me, and other Rangers players that have obviously worked with him and know him a lot better than I do. But the times I was with him, he used to come to my charity ball at the different venues around the hotels in Glasgow with his wife, and he was always somebody that you could have a chat with, and he's very, very approachable. And I think the word legend, sometimes gets thrown around, a lot of the time, and to certain people and individuals and everything else. But I think Scotland manager brought in Tommy Burns, a Celtic great, alongside Ali McCoist as his coaches. The success that he had at Rangers, and it's a very, very sad day, for Scottish football, and particularly the Rangers family as well.
He had great humility, didn't he? I mean, I mentioned that trail of trophies that he leaves behind him. 21 trophies in those two spells as Rangers manager, a UEFA Cup final as well, against all odds. But he was a lovely man, wasn't he?
He was a lovely man. He was an absolute winner, and more importantly, he done it in a way that, for me, just it gave him so much respect. He treated everybody the same, Rob. He was very respectful. I don't think he had an enemy. He was just one of those ones that he was firm, he was honest, he was fair, and all the qualities that for me a top draw. Is why he was such a success at the football club. But again, when you talk about father, grandfather, husband, all those kind of things that I think Coisty touched on today as well, ring true. He was a wonderful man, Rob. You didn't want to be on the wrong side of him though. I mean, when he exploded, it was big. I mean, I've probably only seen that once or twice in my career. But I tell you what, you stand up and take attention, and you don't want that to happen too many times. He had that unbelievable balance, that calmness, even with the media, that calmness and composure. But you didn't want to be on the wrong side of Walter.
He had an aura about him, didn't he, Walter Smith? And the sort of guy that when he spoke, you listened.
Yeah, well, as I said, I never worked under him. I never saw that sort of that stern side that Craig said he had there. Whenever I was in his company, I was privileged to obviously meet him, and he did have an aura. He did have an aura around him. You could tell by the way people used to go up to him when he'd have time for everybody, he'd shake everybody's hands. He was there for pictures. He was, and I listened to that tribute today from Ali McCoist. It went on for about 8.5 minutes long, and how on earth Ali held that together. Well, he didn't quite hold it together always because he was very tearful. He was very, very emotional, and Ali would have known him better than most. I think, being a player under him, and then the manager, and obviously having to get his advice and worked with him with the national team as well. But not only Ali McCoist's tribute, but listen to Terry Butcher coming in there on the radio, and Graham Souness, and just the way people are talking about him, David Moyes and everything else. And as you say, he did touch the other side as well. It was the other. There
was great respect for him, wasn't there?
There was, and as you say, it's just a very, very sad loss, and it's no age, is it?
No.
It's just very, very sad.
Walter Smith, you talk about an aura. He had a real presence. So when he walked into a dressing room, or when he walked into any event, he really held the room. And that's for me, it's an unbelievable quality. But more importantly, in the dressing room at times, you know what players can be like and all that, and we're having a bit of a debate about what's happened at half time, or we're not happy and all that sort of stuff. His timing of knowing when to come in and stop that, or how long to let that go for, he was so switched on. He was so switched on. He was a wonderful man. Like I said, I mean, we're hearing all that his honesty. He was firm. He was fair. One thing that I'm saying at the time, maybe I didn't like it, when he used to walk into the dressing room, Rob, and he'd peek his head in and he'd be looking for the players that were going to be left out. And a lot of the time, when I was a younger player at the time, I'd be getting that one, like outside for a chat. To be fair, I'd rather hear that. Like, he was a manager that would pull you out and say, keep doing what you're doing. Unfortunately, you're not going to be playing today. And it was bad news at that particular time. But again, I feel as if that was a great quality. That was just that honesty, that communication, with everybody. And that's why he's always had the respect. Anybody you come across that have had any dealings with Walter Smith, Rob, have always had that respect for him. He was a massive part for me in my early stages to become a professional footballer. Without him, I don't know how things would have went. He gave me that first opportunity. He supported me through a time when, probably for about 12 months at Rangers, when I was playing out of position. 50,000 fans probably thinking I was not good enough for that football club. Walter Smith made sure that mentally I was going to be strong enough, and he kept working with me. He kept presenting me. He kept pushing me. He played a huge part for me to become a professional footballer, which I'll be forever grateful for.
Tell Alexa to launch Go Radio or listen on the Go Radio app.